All right, welcome to Esoteric Lectures. Thank you for joining us again today. We will be discussing robotomization. I have a hard time saying that word. And it will be discussing that in tomorrow's society. So basically what to expect with robotomization. We will be discussing topics, number one being retail stores. For many people that are aware, there's been a lot of Sears stores closing. So we're going to touch upon that as a little bit of change of pace, but it will also relate into its tie-in into, of course, the agenda. The second topic will be robotics. We'll be discussing AI and also the new age. And third, we'll be discussing awareness, which basically ties into some of the things that we can expect as we move towards seeing these things manifest in our society. We'll also be going over the internet as well as the regulations, 5G, etc., and many things along those lines. Johnny, if you want to introduce yourself.
Absolutely. As always, I'm Johnny Midnight, and I would like to make you aware that what we're talking about is the future of labor. And in the Gospel of Matthew, they had said that once you have taken the millstone from a man, you have taken away the man. Well, we're going to talk about what happens in this very near future when the man no longer has millstone, whether it be mechanics, mining, retail, service, or anything else like that. What happens when the man no longer has a job? Well, we can only speculate here, and it's going to happen soon. Sit tight.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about retail stores. One of the reasons why I wanted to bring this up is because there's been a lot of closing retail stores, as many of you may or may not know. Sears is going out of business completely, not just closing their stores, but it's been noted that even in corporate positions, they have been firing people from corporate jobs. So Sears used to be this big empire, ever since back. I mean, I think they were doing it ever since back in the 60s, if I'm not mistaken. They were.
Oh, no. Sears is much older than the 60s.
Back in the 40s?
I think we're talking about the 1910s.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, it's a really old store. It's been around for pretty much almost a century. And they're closing down. And unfortunately, corporate's closing down headquarters, and we've seen in the news that stores have been closing down for, every single day there's a new store closing. And when you can go on YouTube and look up videos of this kind of stuff. People do videos of people doing tours of closing retail stores. And it's kind of weird because it almost presents a sense of nostalgia when you look at these closing retail stores, because we've all been in a Sears and we've all been in malls also. And malls are also closing down. A lot of those malls are being bought up by Chinese investors. The reason for that is because China is the new system of the template of control that they're pushing. And if you look in China, there's also videos on YouTube that discuss like these vast empty places that are not inhabited by anybody. There's no, these Chinese people will build these huge malls and nobody goes in them whatsoever. Because I think
ghost cities, right?
Yeah, I think they're called ghost cities. And there's just no people. There's like one or two tenants in the whole entire place. And the only reason that they're building that there is either A, for a future project, or B, just to buy up the property. So we're seeing a lot of Chinese investors buy out a lot of property in the United States because the Chinese are basically the model is to use their template into that. But, these retail stores are closing. I was telling Johnny that we all know Best Buy. I'm sure, Johnny, you have Best Buy where you're at, right?
No, but actually, when I was in college, I worked at Best Buy back in the 90s.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah. I think Best Buy is, one of those stores that probably is not going to be around too much longer. I don't have a good feeling about that store.
Oh, well, they took out Circuit City. So.
Oh, yeah. Circuit City. Yeah. Yeah. So a lot of technology stores, other than Apple, of course, are, not really. I just don't think Best Buy is going to be around too much longer. The last Best Buy I went into was, it did not look very inviting, like how I used to remember it. And the store in general's upkeep didn't seem to be doing too well either. The sign was kind of degraded, and they just didn't really seem to be putting too much attention on that. So Best Buy is definitely probably a store I would watch out for closing. But the reason why we mention this is because it ties into the robotomization, the robotics and the AI aspect, as well as online retail stores that are coming into play with how people buy and sell things.
Well,
And
what's the difference between robotomization and automation? Well, my answer to that is that automation is that there is a person still behind the rubric of the business model that is running this. Robotomization, however, is different. There is no more human behind the production factor. It is now a computer, an artificially intelligent computer that is running this factory or this production line, whatever have you.
well, I think that it's definitely an indicator with what we see as we move forward. Um, Now, something that I remember listening to is in London they have technology now that monitors how many people come and go into stores, which is not it's different than surveillance. Um, they I forgot what exactly the system was, but they're going to be they've been implementing new kinds of subliminal LED screens, which implement a form of neurolinguistic programming or suggestive programming, subliminal messages, etc., to get people to go to one store or another. And if you look at the walkways that are in malls, the way that the tile is structured is designed to lead you to where the stores are at. It's a form of unconscious subliminal messaging to get you to go to that store. So when you go into a mall or when you go into any store, look at the ground and look at the patterns that it leads you to, or how the patterns are structured. They do this a lot with casinos, actually. I remember listening to this off of a guy that I saw a video about. And in the casinos in LA, they have these checkerboarded tiles that lead you when you walk into the MGM Grand that lead you directly to the slot machines. So that's not coincidence. It's designed to, subliminally get you to go directly to spend your money.
It's not even subliminal. It's almost like footwalk hieroglyphics. Go here, you'll find the gold. And if you're lucky, you'll find the gold. They understand this. These designers of these casinos and these malls and these stores and these shopping malls, they understand very well what is going to lead somebody to bend to their will, to do what thou wilt, as Crowley once put it. This is theosophistic guidance, if there's any better word for it.
Yeah, I mean it's basically the input of the mindset of this evil energy, I guess, if you want to call it. I mean, everything is guided towards currency and getting you to spend your currency, your electrical currency, your energy. But what we see is that with the technology, also in regards to retail, I've seen commercials on television that indicate in the future they're going to have technology that if you want to buy a clothing item, you can stand in front of this mirror and it will show you what you look like with that clothing item on. And so the technology that they're rolling in to retail, or not even retail, but buying in general, whatever retail stores are will still be around. This is some of the kind of stuff that they've been thinking about putting in there, is this virtual reality shopping type of experience that people can experience through either some kind of thing that they wear, or devices that you can stand in front of that show what you look like with a shirt on or whatever. But these are all the new system that they're rolling in with how they are going to be dictating how people buy. And the dirty side to that is that that technology can be manipulated to make people be subliminally more inclined to buy something.
It's also genetic too, because, for instance, somebody like me with my skin tone and hair would look good in either blue or orange, whereas somebody who is of, say, African descent might look better in orange or green, and then somebody who is of Indian or Pakistani or South Central Asian descent would look great in purple or orange. And they're going to say, yeah, you should watch, you stand in front of the mirror and you should look, you should wear these clothings because your skin tone and your eye color and your hair color, et cetera, and so forth would be best for that.
Well, another thing we have to take into consideration here is trends. Back in my youth, I used to shop at Hot Topic. Well, Hot Topic is the fact that the reason why they called it Hot Topic is because it was about trends. And when you look back at some of the trends going all the way back to 2005, all the way to now, the trends are another psychological warfare technique that they get the public to move from one direction or another. And the trends of how they get people to buy into one thing or another. It's hive mind behavior. I mean, you look at all the people that follow the trend. Like back in 2005, the trend was like for the alternative crowd, it was the whole emo thing. You remember that, Johnny?
Oh, yeah, I do, yeah.
And they all sold all the band T-shirts. But now when you go in there, it's all internet memes. It's about internet and memes and YouTube people. And that's all a form of psychological manipulation to get people to swing their mindset to one direction or another. And when we look at the trends today, I mean, what kind of trends? Is there really even any trends that we would consider a fashion statement? I don't think so. I think it's more ideological trends, such as, now it's cool to be a feminist and want to destroy the world.
Well, Daphne Guinness, the heiress of the Guinness Empire from Ireland, once said that, we have not had any kind of fashion statement since grunge in 1992. I agree with her. I really do. There has not been actually any kind of movement that has propelled fashion or even a thought form in any kind of major upheaval since about 1992. So now what they're looking at now is numbers and spreadsheets and statistics. And Hot Topic is no different. No different.
Yeah, trends are just another way of getting people to be in a certain kind of mindset, get the public to do certain things. And, when we look at the trends all the way back then, it's so crazy how far we've come. Now now the popular thing to do is to protest. It's to be a feminist. It's to dye your hair blue and act like a complete idiot. I mean, that's the trends. Look how far it's come. It's been a stepping stone. The trends are nothing more than a stepping stone to get the public to do what they want them to do. And they do that by making things popular, that people wear it, accept the ideology, and then they move on with it.
But also the dynamic of shopping has also changed. We can order things online with free shipping, no tax. I have to do that because where I live, Amazon will not ship to me. Walmart will not ship to me, but these boutique stores like Newegg and Perfect Circuit Audio and Sweetwater will.
Yeah, everything is being moved towards towards the Internet of Things, which basically is that everything is connected to everything. Every piece of technology now that you have is integrated into every other piece of technology that you have. Your Wi-Fi, your television, your smartphone, your even in some cases, your thermostat and your refrigerator and your dishwasher are all interlinked together. And this is all the new form of the control that they are rolling in, because in that case, they can monitor how much you use, what you use, how you use it, to either artificially inflate or deflate the value or the scarcity of any item, which ultimately ends up just manipulating the public's buying power. And if you do that, then you can do whatever the hell you want, and that's the new system that they're rolling in, which we'll get into in a minute. But this really comes down to, I think, a couple things. Number one, they want people to, when we look at what is the strategy behind why they're closing retail, I think part of it is the online retail that has had a huge impact on retail stores. I think that's one aspect of it, but I think there's also another aspect, the devious aspect, where they're trying to get rid of certain stores so that they can manipulate where the public goes and doesn't go. So they can buy up certain land or sell certain land, so that they have to force people to only get their stuff from one allotted source. It's like, in the military, you can only go to one place to get your things. You go to one place to get your food, and you get one choice. I think what they've done is they've overinflated choice that people can buy, and now that they've overinflated it, they're trying to limit the ability for people to make decisions now, so that the only place that you can get certain items is by only going to either Amazon. It's like, how many people do you hear saying, "Oh, I'll just check Amazon,"
Yeah. You're actually talking about the military BX. BX is basically the military company store that you can go to buy anything that you need: toothbrush, deodorant, toothpaste, food, snacks, whatever have you. And you are beholden to whatever they have for sale, and that's it.
Absolutely. That is the whole, moving towards this type of system, is to limit people's ability, and not only that, but to make choices, limit their choices and their ability. But we're just going to have to see what happens with that. But the thing is that people's purchasing abilities and the way that they purchase items is the main thing that we are doing here. It's the main thing that's being done to control the population. You hit their money, then it really is a cascade effect about how they will end up having choice. Choice is freedom, and limitation of choice is limitation of freedom.
As dismal as my viewpoint upon humanity is, I do feel that we have the mindset and the spiritual strength to do something that is outside of the mold, no matter what structure our society places on us. So, let's say if Hillary does win in 2020, and everything is nothing but Walmart and Taco Bell. She would love that. Believe me. There would still be people who say, I'm going to cook food that tastes like this, and I'm going to make music that sounds like this, and I'm going to write books that read like this, and we would still have that avenue to create these elements within our our senses. We'd be able to taste this food and hear that music and read these thoughts and see these films, despite the system that is being created en masse. And I think America, at least for now, still has that ability to go and say, I'm going to take an avenue that might not be, lucrative by any means, but I still have this vision. I care about these sights, these sounds, these tastes, these feelings. I'm going to be able to bring that upon people. Do you fear, Element, that ability would be curtailed in the future where, no maverick, no rebel would be able to create these sensations for people who are looking for it, despite whether or not they're going to get enriched from it?
So basically, what you're saying is they're basically going to control that not only retail but also stores are going to control people's perception of reality through how they buy and sell things.
Absolutely, I do fear
absolutely. I think that's what they're doing.
Look what they're doing with YouTube. Okay, YouTube is just a testing ground. You have people that are getting out there making videos about the craziest stuff, like what was his name, Angry Phil or Filthy Phil or whatever, and they would eat, a croissant full of hair and teeth. Just the most disgusting thing. And they're like, oh, it's a shame, disgusting. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean,
and he's gone. They took him out of the loop. You have people like PewDiePie, who was the biggest YouTuber ever on Earth, and they demonetized him. So what if somebody says, like, I'm going to make a cake made out of pineapples and avocados and a whole bunch of other disgusting shit, and you're going to love it? Well, what if YouTube or, feedme.com or whatever decides to say, you're not allowed to have that cake for sale. We are going to make sure that you are no longer able to be found to sell that cake to anyone. That's what I worry about.
Well, I think that's all just a form of it's just another form of controlling people's desires and abilities to want things. If you can control people's wants and desires, you can control their behavior. And you do that through food. You do that through their consumption of things that they like, beer, drugs, alcohol, whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is. If you can control their ability to, want those things, it's like the thing that they talk about in marketing, where they say, if you make something scarce, it increases its value because then people will want to buy it more. I don't think that necessarily has anything to do with why they're doing that. I think the main reason for that is because it is the manipulation of people's emotional desires for things. That is why in Super Bowl ads they promote Budweiser or Bud Light when they sell that, because people usually drink that garbage. I'm sorry, but it's true. It's garbage beer.
It's true. You're absolutely right. I mean, people, the powers that be, the people that are running the corporations in congruence with the government, do not want people to think for themselves, to be able to be inventive. Not audibly, sonically, visually. They don't want you to feel it. They don't want you to taste it, and they don't want you to smell it even. Like, this smell is illegal. We're gonna take you out of here because it smells like Nazi or some shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's basically, in a nutshell, the reason, I mean, like you were saying, making certain kinds of foods illegal, making certain things, you can't drink that, you can't have this, you can't have that. It's all about saying, we're going to tell you what to eat, what to drink, what to buy, what to sell, and where to go and what to do.
They already do it. You can't buy in America. I don't know whoever is listening in, but in America, you can't buy plantain. You can't buy breadfruit. You can't buy, other. It's boysenberry is very limited.
And when you think about it, why is the reason that they want to do that? Well, what are the main foods that they sell? It's usually pesticide foods through give you cancer so they can control the population to kill you off. They want to make sure that you eat the poison food so that you die when they want you to. I mean, that's the basic bottom line.
Exactly. I mean, nobody's going to actually spray plantain and breadfruit and boysenberry because they have restricted the demand for it in a large country like America, or a smaller country like the UK with a large population. They're not going to be able to, enjoy that taste. Now, let me go back to the topic of Dan Bell and the death of the American Mall. This is a videographer on YouTube who, for now at least, is showing people what's happening to malls that used to be tremendously successful and now are dripping with rainwater.
Dan Bell is really great. He does really good videos. Me and Johnny really like watching Dan's stuff. He does excellent work, excellent videography and cinematography when he goes into these malls. And his whole purpose really is to show people, almost as a form of nostalgia. Nostalgia is another thing I forgot to mention. And then, but the reason why I bring this up is because in society, we have a lot of nostalgia for things that we wish we could have. Like, I was just talking to a friend of ours, and I was telling him that I watched a unboxing video of a PS2. I mean, there's these people that will open these boxes of PS2s and plug in the game. The graphics are terrible compared to what they are now, but it's the nostalgia of reliving that moment. And another form of control that they do is through nostalgia. That's why a lot of the time you see, either food companies or certain kinds of clothing or videos or advertisements, movies, they keep people in a state of the past, to keep them sedated in a way, to look at the nostalgia of wondering how good things used to be. Because I guess technically, yeah, things were better than they are now. But it's all designed to keep people in this false sense of happiness so they don't look at the bigger picture of what's going on. The way that these people look at us is like managing cattle. You got to keep the cattle happy, and you got to keep them sedated sometimes. And the way that they keep the public from freaking out and being in a state of almost adolescence is to have them look back on the past so that they don't get, they don't rile up and they don't freak out, because then they're of no use to anybody. And so they bring back, such fast food places bringing back an old item for a limited time only. All of these, you have to understand, this is all a form of psychological manipulation and psychological control to keep people's mindset. You have to understand that, the things are about perception manipulation. What you eat, what you buy, what you say, what you tell, what you consume, what you sell. It's all about manipulating the very fabric of this reality. And they do that through the five senses. Okay. And they do that for a reason, to keep people in that state. I'm sure all of us have been in a position where we've looked back at something that we saw 10 years ago and had that sense of nostalgia, and then you want to kind of relive that moment, and it takes you out of reality. They want people to live in an artificially induced state of reality so that they can control them. You put the VR goggles, and if those VR goggles are hooked into any of the five major tech companies, they got your mind, man. That's how it is. And that's what all this stuff is moving towards: virtual reality, technology, and it's all designed to keep people to introduce themselves into an artificially induced, even further. We're already in an artificial reality, but now they're going to try to artificially create one themselves from the tech giants playing God.
And that artificial reality that we're looking into is what Paul Offley had called as the absolute death. So we are looking at a world where a man cannot work. And this is a MGTOW topic. You cannot program. cannot engineer, cannot repair, you can no longer be a janitor, you can no longer serve, you can no longer produce. So what are we looking at in terms of being able to earn a living?
Well, that's going to be dictated by the state, basically. I mean, that's the main purpose of it. You know, they want to be able to tell you what to buy and what to sell and what you can and cannot do. It's as simple as that. You know, in the future, jobs are, and this is going to go into our topic of robotics, the main topic for the show today, which is robotics. And Johnny hit that point perfectly, because what do we see now being talked about all the time in the news? You know, about tech companies, they'll talk about AI and they'll talk about robotics. And so what this is doing is it's really cutting back a lot of people's ability to have a job. You know, schools now, how do they teaching their kids? Well, now instead of books, they have iPads and computers. There's no books. There's nobody to have to be there to teach. It's all being done through technology now, you know, and that technology can be manipulated. So, you know, they have this thing. I remember hearing a concept thrown around about how they would introduce the forms of, you know, technology to teach children. And they said that they could program the iPads to either, like if there was a reading course that they were reading out of a book, it would be on the iPad. So the kids, they would program these iPads so that the kids couldn't fast forward through the actual book. They would only be allowed from the teacher that would program the iPads to only be able to read that certain chapter. So you couldn't read ahead of the class. You couldn't read further into the book. You couldn't do any of that. And what that's doing is that's putting everybody on the same playing field. So if you have people that are smarter, there is no ability for them to get an advantage or advance. We are looking at a society, and this ties into the workforce, of people being all forced to move along in the exact same pace that they want people to. And what is that? That is a hive-minded society. And so this is basically the future of the new system. Things will be dictated with AI, police, law enforcement, how kids learn in schools, what you buy, what you sell. This is what we're talking about here. It's the new system of control. And that new system will be under AI and robotic enforcement.
I think that also, too, a lot of people that are listening to this right now will, there's a train outside, just ignore it. The thing is that, and that'll be robotimated too, but a lot of people listening to this right now will be thinking to themselves, well, I'm going to learn to be a robotics engineer. I'm going to learn how to program AIs. I'm going to learn how to be a programmer. Well, I got bad news for you. They're going to have artificial intelligence and robotics to do that job for you, because you're unreliable and they're not. And I'm not championing the concept of the robot or the AI, but you have to understand that when some of the top, middle management and white collar jobs are gone, and the lower jobs are gone, and then you even have some of the brain bugs who get replaced by just this amazing processor. What will you do when those opportunities are precluded? That's my question.
Well, that's a great topic, and I'm sorry if you hear some wind noise. I'm going to try to cover up the mic here just in case it makes any noise there. But, the thing about it is that, they're getting rid of all jobs. Everything's going to be dictated to robots. Now, we have to ask ourselves a question, Johnny. We know that this is all about taking jobs away from people so that they can all be controlled. It's about establishing a new hierarchy of society where the very top, the very few be at the top and they get to have all the money, and the very few at the bottom. They are trying to move this society into a hell world, and that way, nobody has jobs, nobody has a future, nobody has a chance to do anything. And what is the point? You have to ask yourselves, okay, well, they're basically indoctrinating and educating kids to learn from iPads. Well, if there's going to be no jobs in the future, why are they educating kids with iPads? Well, I suppose
control. I'm going to control you through the iPad. I'm going to control you and watch you through that little video screen I have on my iPad. If you're not going to be a good little servant, and you don't even have to serve me because that's not even a job anymore, you're still going to get in trouble. There's always going to be trouble. And
well, it all, what it all factors into with all this? It's moving towards transhumanism. That's what it's moving towards. And the only people that are going to be allowed to have a freaking job are those who are augmented, because all the technology is going to be so interrelated that the only people that can get the jobs are people that have the augments. That's why they're integrating technology in education and learning. If you look at this in the educational system, what's going to be the next step? Okay, it's iPads one day. What's it going to be? Microchips the next? So that all they have to do is...
I'm Sandman here. I just got my penis cybernetically augmented, and now I can stick it up my nose. Thank you very much. Please bang that bell and subscribe.
Well, it won't even be that. It'll be more like, please donate, 500 gigabytes to my microchip in my brain.
Sure, exactly.
But one day it's iPads, the next day it's going to be microchips. So it's going to be like, oh, well, we don't need iPads anymore. And they're going to program the microchips to have the kids only learn what they want them to learn. Well, when you go down that road, then you have a society where, let's say it's Brave New World. You got people that are like kids that come in, they get tested, and they go, okay, you would be perfectly suited to be a construction worker. Boom, we're going to give you a microchip only designed for you to be a construction worker, which means that if you try to get another freaking job without the right microchip, then you're not going nowhere. You are only going to be allotted to have a microchip for construction jobs only. And the next guy who has a higher IQ than you and excels or whatever will have a engineering microchip that will download all of the information for him directly there. And that's what his job will be.
Well, they're already doing that right now in Germany. I mean, for instance, certain children get an IQ test, I think at age 6. And at age 6, they decide whether or not, after you go through elementary school, you go to either gymnasium for the smart kids or Realschule, which means that you are going to be either a construction worker or a waiter or some type of manual labor or service. So it's kind of one of those things that happens there.
Absolutely, and that's it's diabolical. It really is. It really is just a thing that is just it sucks. It really sucks.
I mean, look at it this way: every ghetto, every project, every scheme in England has that 3-year-old kid who can play Rachmaninoff on the piccolo. And he's just, amazing, but most people are average.
Yeah. Well, this is, just to make it really easy for everybody to understand, they are trying to make the people be transhumanistic. They're trying to implement them with microchips, and that is how they're going to control people ultimately. So when we look at the moving towards the internet where you can only buy things online or you can only purchase certain things in online stores, you have to have a credit card, all of that stuff is tiptoeing towards transhumanism, all of it. That's why they're doing away with stores. Whatever the future of stores will be, I don't know. At this point, it's irrelevant. The whole point is, what's the agenda? Why are they doing it? It's because they're doing away with stores so that everything has to be dictated and forced to be a part of a transhumanistic system where everything is done online because everything can be tracked and recorded online. And that way they can manipulate what people watch, what people see, what people buy, and everything. It's ultimate, complete, and total control everywhere about everything.
And we're also controlling the senses of people too as well. We're having to control all the 5 senses: what you smell, what you touch, what you taste, what you see, and what you hear, what you feel. This is all going to be dictated by the powers that be. Okay? And we all know who controls the powers that be. We've been talking about this on our show for months now.
Absolutely. I see that Savage Reality is in the Hangout. If you want to join in, Savage, you're more than welcome to.
That'd
Savage,
be great. Absolutely. Get him on in. I love that guy.
Savage, if you can join, you're more than welcome to. Savage also discusses these topics with us as well. So that's why I mentioned him. If he'd like to jump in, he's
if you have not seen his show, it's Savage Reality at youtube.com. Go watch it. Great stuff. Get him on in.
Yeah, Savage, if you'd like to join in, let us know. And the other thing about all of this is that, we have this new system of control you have to study about what these people are involved in order to understand all the little intricacies and facets about this new system of control that they're planning on. It's going to incorporate money. It's going to incorporate your buying power. It's going to incorporate what you can watch, what you can say, what you can do. And when we look on YouTube, they're already pushing regulations. I mean, your time to speak out is really running out. They're already rolling in the regulations right as we speak. If you're not speaking out now, then you're not going to be able to come in soon. They're pushing these regulations so fast that it's sickening, and we're going to be in an age where everything's going to have to be underground at some point. You're not going to be able to say certain things unless you have a license or you are regulated by the Ministry of Truth, called mainstream news media, that they give you a license to be able to allow you to say anything. YouTube just pushed I just saw an article on YouTube that was mentioning about how they're going to be tailoring what can be put on YouTube in terms of news articles. They use that term fake news and all that crap, which is just propaganda. So they're basically pushing people to be able to only allow them to see what the Ministry of Propaganda, is doing. So these are concepts that are coming very soon, to this new age and this new society. It's an age of complete control, transhumanism, microchips, robots, and 1984 and Brave New World on steroids. I mean, that's what we're looking at here, and it's not good stuff. And I'll tell you, something else that I forgot to mention here, which was something even more disturbing than any of this stuff, which is, Johnny, I don't know if you know this, but TED Talks released a video saying that pedophilia is a sexual orientation. I kid you not. They literally made a TED Talk about that. And people actually fucking joined that shit. Can you believe that? I mean, that's sickening. The fact that our society is moving towards that direction is not good. As a matter of fact, it's so bad that we've come to that point and people are actually willing to go and listen to that crap, that it's basically, you're walking straight into the gates of hell. The society is going to drop into a fucking dimension of hell. Because the minute that society does that, it's over with.
As Paul Offley once stated in his artwork, we are gearing toward an absolute death. So anybody who's been watching the show, we understand that true life is the pleroma. That's the heaven. It created the Heil. The Heil was the home of Jehovah, your creator. Yeah, my creator, elements creator, everybody's creator. Well, from there on, what did he create? The corposa. The corposa is us. This is the lowest realm that we have so far, but we are working on something even below that. And below that is the absolute death. We are talking about a world that has no carbon-based life in it. We are talking about a world that is completely controlled by the AI, and run by machines.
Well, Johnny, I think you were away from the keyboard, but I'd mentioned that. Did you know that TED Talks recently came out with a video saying that pedophilia is a sexual orientation?
Okay, so yeah, why? Why would they do that? I mean,
Because we're falling into the dimensions of the abyss.
well, they're also going to say that zoophilia is also has a right to it.
I mean,
You should have sex with your dog.
when a society goes to that point, it's over with, man. It's done. There was actually people in the audience that sat there to watch that. There should be nobody there. There should have been no fucking person in the audience.
There should have been people protesting it. They should have had the right to do that too.
Oh, and it happened to be a woman, by the way, that was doing the presentation. So, she's nice. She's a woman, and she's talking about pedophilia. It's sickening. It's very bad. And if a society, it said in the Bible, this is what Jesus said. He said, if you do that shit, you've cut yourself off from fucking creation. If you do that, I can't help you. You want to know why? Because the things and the evil that's involved in doing that shit, you have entered in the dimensions of the abyss.
If you decide to go and have sex with your cat or a chicken or a sheep or anything like that, you're going to not gain ascension. And that's the thing. You will not know the home of your true father, the unknowable monad. You will not be able to have that happen to you. And the funny thing is, look at it like this. So many women are enjoying sex toys that are made of dog and dragon and horse penises, but men don't want horse vaginas. I mean, there is a difference about that. I feel that, and I am going into MGTOW territory here right now, but there is something about us that has a sort of valor, a sort of pride, which is a deadly sin, but at the same time, we do not want to be shamed by doing that with something that's outside of our species. Women don't seem to care about this. They just don't.
No, they don't care because people are degenerate and they've lost their minds. People have gone crazy. They're lunatics, they're delusional, and they're completely out of their freaking minds. The fact that women are willing to do that, anybody, if that's not enough evidence for you to avoid them, then I can't help you. I don't know what else to tell you. I mean, if a woman, look, here's the other thing, and we don't mean to be graphic here, but here's the problem. They have sex robots now, like those toys that women use that are robot. They're machines that they do their business with. They don't need you. They're fucking robots now. They've been doing it since those damn things came out.
Well, to be the contrafact of this element, we men have them now too. They're getting whole bars full of sex whores that are totally made out of plastic. I don't want to go there. That's the unliving. That is necrophilia. And there's a lot of men, including MGTOW, that are supporting this shit.
Well, here's another reason that's why you mentioned that, Johnny. It's the unliving, because what is in the abyss? It's the unliving. And here's something that people don't know. They're trying to use the interface. Those things in the abyss need an interface. They need something to be able to communicate because they're in the realms of absolute death. So they want a vessel to possess to get the hell out of there. And they've been doing all kinds of weird experiments trying to figure out how to contact those things down there by AI, robots, whatever they can do to get those demons to be possessed into robots so that those things can come up here and destroy everything. Because that's exactly what's going to happen. Is that the minute that
we are guilty of this too, man. We're guilty of this too. I'm using real instruments to interface with the unliving world of the computer. We are also using unliving instruments to interface with the world of gaming, such as what we're talking to do. I'm not against it. I feel that it's fun, but at the same time, when I think about it, am I guilty of doing this? That's a good question.
It's different than what I'm referring to is the sexual aspect of this.
Okay, the actual sexual and energetic release of, having
Right.
sex with a
With a
non-living
robot.
instrument. Right.
They're trying, yeah, that's the bridge between how they're getting those things out of there, I think, and so the whole point is when you start intermingling the reproductive ability into robotics, then you're messing with some serious stuff, because they're trying to figure out a way to get it's like the Terminator. I mean,
Right.
what do you think? Terminator? You think it was just an AI that learned how to be evil? No, that was
No, yeah,
demonic.
they had to make his flesh. They had to make his blood and his bad breath and his everything like that. That was done hermetically, and they did that via an interface with the unliving to make the Terminator.
What they did was they created a bridge between the realms of hell and this world by technology through reproductive means, so that those things can come up here and destroy the place. I mean, it's just out of Terminator. It's right out of Terminator.
Oh
Um,
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
those robots were demonically possessed. Okay, and that's what they want. They want to get everybody hooked into the transhumanist stuff, so that they can take over the brain chips of everybody and then possess them. So it's the perfect conduit right into their heads. It's like when you play a video game and you're the avatar. Well, that's what they're doing. Think of it this way: you're the gamer, right? And you're playing on your controller. Well, on the other side of the controller is our realm. But think of it this way: the demons are playing the character that they've tried to interface with, which is the human body. But when you have technology in there, they can hack into it and then possess the body like mind control. And I
Yeah,
think that's
exactly. I mean, we know that up at the Heil, we are all contained in pods. Those pods can easily be hacked by forces in the Heil to make us do a school shooting or, a serial killing or whatever have you do, whatever you will. That is the bug or the sore in the masterpiece. And that happens all the time whenever the archons will it.
yeah,
As
yeah.
insane as that sounds, that's exactly what happens. Do you think Adam Lanza was a good boy, who ate his lunch every day and studied it and did everything he wanted to? He probably was. But then one day, he got hacked up there in the Heil, and then, an Archon said, "You gotta fucking go rock and roll, bro," and he did.
Yeah, this transhumanistic stuff is not good. I mean, it's what they talk about, the mark of the beast and all this stuff with that kind of stuff, because they're trying to possess people through the technology so that they can control them. I mean, that's basically what the deal is, and they're trying to push that. And that's what the new society, the new age of control, is all about. It's all about, it's almost like you're dropping into another dimension, and in that dimension, they things begin to manifest themselves. It's like right after 9/11, right, Johnny? I mean, everything ever since then, it's all about surveillance and all that stuff. It's like you drop the dimension. So these are things that are very concerning to things that we have to pay attention to, and it seems to be that people are just doing it willy-nilly, like they think it's a big it's all fun and games, but they have no idea what they're facing. But we also have, this ties into what we've discussed previously, the Lilithian age. This is the age of complete and total chaos ruled by a Lilithian energy. This new age of complete trying to turn woman into God and have that rule over. And if you look at the Kabbalah and you look at the tree of death, Lilith is the very first one at the very bottom of the tree of death, and they're trying to make her, because Lilith comprises the material worlds, and physical wants and desires, and they're trying to implement that energy into, what they've been pushing all along. And that's why we see all this feministic worship and all this kind of stuff. It's Lilithian. It's complete demonic. It's pure evil. And that is the main thing, and one of the main factors that we see through this kind of manifestation. It's really, really not good stuff. And, we have to always be aware spiritually. And unfortunately, most people are too, I guess we should end on that topic, is that, people are just so spiritually dead now. They look like a bunch of walking zombies. It's just crazy.
Well, eschewing spirituality is fashionable. And if people hate me for that, I'm fine. I'm totally fine with it. Go ahead. I'm gonna do whatever I can to get out of here and stay out of here. And I hope you all do too.
Yeah, you don't want to. This isn't the place. We don't need to be here forever, because this place isn't looking too good. The roof is falling to pieces. The house is crumbling.
Yeah, but don't you want to have a Maserati while the house falls to pieces?
Oh yeah, sure. I'd like to have a
Sure.
Maserati, and I can sit in it for 5 seconds as my roof crushes me to death in my Maserati.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the bottom line of it. I would rather have forever than here and now. That's all.
Yeah, you have to just, materialism is there's nothing wrong with having nice things, but the way that they're pushing nice things is that they're trying to control it. They're trying to control you with the things. It's like that old saying goes, eventually your things begin to own you. Well, that's becoming a real reality in this day and age, I can tell you that.
I'm gonna leave you with one little thought about women. If you watch the 1979 movie The Jerk, Bernadette Peters says to Steve Martin, who is the jerk, "Nathan, I don't care about the money. I just want the stuff."
Yeah.
It's so true, though. It's so true. That is like the ultimate MGTOW moment.
Gnostic movie, The Jerk.
Yeah, I know it is.
It's a Gnostic
I'm a
movie.
jerk and I'm agnostic. Fuck you.
They call it The Jerk. Yeah, what's a good Gnostic movie review? We got Matrix and we got The Jerk.
We got The Jerk.
What else, Johnny? Is there anything else you want to bring up?
Well, before my computer crashes again, no. Yeah, take it away.
All right. Well, just to surmise, the closing of retail stores is something to pay attention to. It definitely affects people's jobs, and it will affect people's jobs and their ability to make an income. And the motivation behind that is, online retail. Online retail is becoming the thing now, and the big tech companies are taking over, what people are going to be allowed to buy and all of that. And that ties into robotics, which also is a big problem, because where's people's jobs going to come from? And it also ties into the occultic and esoteric aspects that tie into, the non-living. This is a new system of control that they're going to control over everybody through AI, through technology, and through robotics, and policing and military will be moving in that direction. And I think, in the future, we should expand maybe on one of these topics and go into it. But aside from that, I think I've talked myself into a corner here. I don't think I have anything else to say. Johnny, is there anything else you'd like to say? I think Johnny's computer crashed again. Isn't that nice? Well, guys, I appreciate you guys for joining us. We're going to be coming up with another video soon. We just wanted to touch base with people, let them know that we haven't gone anywhere. We're still here. We've taken a little break, but, just wanted to touch base with everybody, let everybody know that we're still doing our thing, and we'll be back very shortly with another episode. And I really appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thank you for supporting the channel, and we will talk to you again soon. Thanks for joining.